All right, so we're going to keep the conversation going with this next session, Purposeful Profit, helping clients grow, sell, and evolve. This session gives you 4 different designers designing differently. I should also mention that each of them is a Circle community leader, and they are huge contributors to what's happened with our program, and frankly, where the product's going as well. So, splitting her time between Washington and Virginia, she's worked independently as a web designer specializing in e-commerce and nonprofits since 2019. Please welcome Kristine Neal. Based in Amarillo, Texas, he is the founder of Sueño & Co., a design studio that builds brands and websites across a variety of industries. Please welcome Aaron Soto. From Nashville, Tennessee, she is the founder of So Good Creative, where she builds websites for creatives and small businesses that are aligned with purpose. Please welcome Risha Chesterfield. And finally, please help me welcome our moderator with over 20 years of web design experience from Austin, Texas, Christy Price.
Thank you, Jeremy. No matter what types of clients you're working with, we all know there's a big difference between just finishing a website and helping someone use it to really grow their business. Today's panel is all about that shift, how we as designers can go beyond just a pretty site and help clients to sell more, scale faster, and support their goals in a sustainable way.
And doing that isn't just good for our work, it's great for our clients. It can help us build longer-term partnerships, have more clear scopes for projects, and just be more strategic in our work overall. Hopefully, we'll share really helpful examples, tools, maybe even some language you can use when you're talking to clients in your own business. And we're going to wrap things up at the end with a way to keep the conversation going.
But first, we'd like to be a little interactive with you guys and see how many of you are using Squarespace revenue building features with your clients. So if you could raise your hand if you're in the room, or just put it in the chat online. So courses, anybody use courses? All right. Scheduling, email marketing, member sites. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
If you have questions as we go today, jot those down, and we'll have some time to answer at the end during Q&A. But let's kick things off with a quick warm-up. What's one Squarespace feature that you used to overlook, but now your clients love? And we'll start with you, Christine.
Okay, yes. This one might surprise some people in the room because I was not a fan at first, but courses. And I think what really kind of revolutionized the concept for me was when I realized that I could use the course feature for more than creating just educational content. Like using courses to create something interactive really opens up the gates to that feature being applicable to way more projects. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, and for me, it's been adding scheduling with deposits. That shift itself has helped my clients reduce no-shows. Yeah. But also, the great thing about that is it protects their time and their bottom line. So that's a good feature. It's a small shift, but it does a lot for them.
Yeah.
And then for me, member sites has been something that's been great to help my clients deepen their value and create gated content that can create monthly revenue for them that's continual and beneficial for them.
Those are 3 really great features right off the bat, and even thinking outside the box with how you help your clients. When you started working on more complex revenue-focused projects, what changed for you in your own business? And Aaron, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So for me, I had a couple of clients tell me early on that it really is more cost-effective to keep working with you than to hire or train someone in-house. So for me, that's when things really shifted, and I started thinking about it. And it's like, it's great because you stay in the room, and it's one of those things where I had. So let me kind of scoot back a little bit, but I introduced retainers to my clients. In our world, that's web management. But the great thing about that is it's brought consistency, structure to my business. It's helped do predictable income. So for us that have like these monthly sales goals, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from, you have a good base. For me, I like to keep it around 30 to 40% of the monthly that I bring in for workload. That helps me stay sane too as well. Like that way I'm not just doing consistent work of that stuff every single month. But it really has helped the clients also grow. So we don't have to do it all at once. And yeah, it's been great. And the business has really shifted after adding that, but in a good way. Just you just got to be on top of it on that.
This is probably why I love retainers for you and not for me. I live and die by a phased project because I really love when things have a clear start and a clear end. And retainers to me feel like I might have time to fill and I've got to come up with stuff, and it just doesn't work well for me. So I love that like we each have a different approach to that. Yeah. I love when like I'm working with a client and they come up with a great idea. Like, that's a great idea. And I say, let's work on that in a phase 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or whatever it is. And we know when we've achieved our goals. To me, that's really important. It helps me stay motivated in the work, and I think that like that's not to be discounted.
Yeah. And for me, like a couple circle days ago, I learned about this phase pricing phases from Kristine, and that's really helped me out in my business of being able to say like, okay, yes, you want to do all these things. Let's do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But it also helps from the standpoint of just value pricing. So if we want to create value with you, we can create a lot of value to start off. We can move that value down the road as well too. Here's that roadmap that we're going to create to be able to do that. And so it gives my clients a good pacing as well too, that where they may feel overwhelmed with budget or things of that sort, but it's like, okay, let's do phase 1, and after we've achieved that, let's move to phase 2. And so it's not all things all at once and overwhelming them, but it makes sense to them and for their business.
And it's great to see how each one of you has adapted your business model to work for you. And I think it's a great reminder that you're the boss. You get to decide how you want to do things. And you don't have to do things exactly the way somebody else does. You're building a business that works for you. Was there a project that made you realize Squarespace could do more than just look good, Kristine?
Yes. So I had this restaurant client pre-COVID, and they had a pretty average restaurant website. They had a menu and like a link to book a table, and it was pretty. And it was just basic, like that was it. And I think that during that time, they were hustlers. They came up with 1,000 ideas. They were like, can we start selling pantry goods out of the walk-in cooler? Can we sell merch? Can we sell meal kits? Can we, all of these things. And every single thing I was able to say yes to. I didn't have to go, well, your website's here, so we're gonna have to do this other thing. The fact that like they could be creative and like they could really kind of think like, okay, what can we do with what we got? And that I was able to go, yes, I could totally help you with that. Like really solidifies that we weren't just building a pretty, like, here's your pretty menu, here's pretty pictures, but like this was a website that was really going to like work for them. So what about you?
Yeah, so for me, I work with a client that sells semi-trailers. So their trailers are like $100,000, $2,000, $3,000. So we knew from the get-go this wasn't going to be one of those websites where we build 5 pages and we're done. So we knew it was going to be a big project. So what we did was we started with the structure. We built their key pages. And as we were doing that, we were trying to figure out how we were going to categorize everything, how to filter their inventory. So what we did was, after we figured that out, we imported their inventory into Squarespace's e-com. So each one of those became a product page. And then on that product page, we added all the specs to that trailer. We added the metadata to it. We linked everything to Google Merchant Center. So like from a visibility, just SEO standpoint, it worked so well. And then on the product pages, instead of having that add a cart feature, because no one's going to buy a $300,000 and just check out that way. So, I added some code snippet to make that function an actual call function. So So when they click on that, it goes straight to their sales department. So if someone's calling for a trailer, they want to be able to get on the phone and see if they could close it or at least get all the information that they need. So also on each one of these product pages, we added lead generation forms on the bottom. So if someone was to send that form, then the sales department will know exactly what trailer that is. And so it's an easy kind of, you can get that all streamlined to do that. So it was one of these big projects, and it took some time, but after we did all of this, like, now this website is not necessarily like just a website. It's a catalog that drives qualified leads for them.
So cool.
Aaron, I just want to call out, like, it's so much work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about adding a custom form to every single product. Yes, it's tedious, but think about how revolutionary that is, like, for your client and for the customer experience. Because how much of a pain is it if you're trying to work with a business and you send off a contact form and you've got to start back from scratch?
Yeah.
And, like, so how smart that you were like, no, you're going to know what page they were on, exactly what product they were inquiring about. Smart.
And I think that's why it's so good to, like, just know the tool. The more that you get into Squarespace, the more that you use it, the more that you can start thinking outside the box to do creative things with your clients. So, if you're new to Squarespace, silver, if you're just starting out, like, take the time to learn. And if you're platinum, now you have ways to be able to do things that are outside of the box, do what your client needs, and not just the kind of the typical thing, but doing things that are creative and works well for your business. And so, like, release notes, when they send those, like, check those out, like, because they have a lot of cool tools that we can utilize. But then also, I know that there's a lot of examples that are being sent out as well too. Check out those sites, see what other people are doing, and then be able to see how you can use that for your business.
Favorite day of the week.
Yeah, Monday.
Mondays, release note day. I love that you all called out strategy and the ability to quickly pivot. Key. I think understanding what the client needs and how you can use Squarespace to help them get there. If you're joining us online, drop in the chat how you've used Squarespace to go beyond just a pretty site. And Aaron, I think you did a great job answering this with the trailers, but Kristine and Risha, what are some creative ways you've used Squarespace to help clients?
Yeah, I'll start off. So I had a client that came to me for marketing. She has a vacation rental home, and so she's listed on the typical sites. But I was like, okay, well, you don't have a website. Like, let's actually just start there with using a website, because as I'm listening you tell me about your vacation rental home, this is a very cool space that may not be captured so well on a, like an Airbnb or something like that. So let's tell the story that you want to tell about your vacation rental home. So we were able to create a beautiful website that also utilizes SEO very well to be able to bring in those people that she's wanting to come stay at long-term stays at her vacation rental home. And so she's bringing those types of people in now, because we aren't just doing something where, okay, well, the typical thing is just you go get listed on these sites. No, like, let's actually create a website that's going to work well for you, that's going to speak for you when you're not speaking, and be able to bring clients in. So even though she came to me for marketing for her, let's look at Airbnb or whatever. Like, no, let's actually create a website for you to be able to, now let's tell the story that you want to tell and take things up a notch. And, she's pretty booked out, so.
Nice.
I love this. I love it because it's an example of, like, taking control of the narrative and, like, not relying on, like, another platform. So, like, this client was like, no, I want to tell the story, and, like, you help them do that. And I think that's so cool. So the example that I think of is actually a client that Christy and I share.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Find a buddy.
I know. Team up. So Christy designed a beautiful site for an esthetician. So, like, she's, come book your facial, get a little scrub, whatever you need to do. And it was great service-wise, but we needed a way to take control of, like, the closing the loop on the sales process, because what happens during all of those services? Products are used.
Yeah.
And she was just counting on basically, like, a sticky note system to be like, this was the toner that I used for this client, or this person bought this cleanser 2 months ago. Maybe she might be out. She was just kind of relying on like winging it to be able to sell products and to organize like a really customized experience for her clients. And so we took the scheduling that Christy had set up and we incorporated a shop that listed everything so that when clients came in, she could say, like, hey, I noticed that you bought that whatever cleanser 2 months ago. You're probably out. Can I get you more? It made her seem like really like she was just on top of it all because she could remember, or her system remembered for her that like, oh yeah, I remembered that you have really sensitive skin. Like that's this product line, and I'm going to recommend it to you. And it allowed her to like take control of that. She was no longer winging it, and she was no longer just counting on like lackadaisical post-it note system to sell things. So
yeah, great ways to think outside the box all the way around. Let's talk about that moment when a client has an idea, but they're not quite ready to go all in. So for clients who are curious about launching something new, how do you help them test the waters?
I mean, I would say just start.
Yeah.
Like you do not have to wait to have 100 perfect SKUs to start selling online or like a super refined services list. Like sometimes it's a test and it's okay. So you have to start small. I always tell people that like once you start selling something, the analytics and your clients or customers, but the analytics will tell a story. They'll say, you know, the price point is maybe not right, or like people are dropping off at a certain point. Like what could we do to finesse this? Like which products are really surprisingly popular that I just, you know, I would have guessed it was this product, but it's that one. And if you don't just start selling, then you'll never know. Like everything up until that point is like a hypothesis. And once you get that data and that feedback, you can then become like as the designer, like a partner in helping guide your clients to say, okay, well, of those 3 test products, here's what we've learned. Let's work on the next ones. So just like start. Let the sales from like the first few kind of testers like fund future work. It's much easier to just like start selling, get some money coming in, and then you can say yes to future phases.
Progress over perfection.
Yeah,
I'm here for
exactly.
it.
I'm glad you said that too, because start small. I love that, and so that early conversation, that early discovery of this is huge because clients come in with these great ideas or these big ideas, but once you start talking to them, they're like, whoa, okay, wait, like pump the brakes, yeah. So like, don't think that you need to do like 10 pages or whatever. Like just start with what they have. That way you could build in these future phases like you were just talking about. So this would help them test the idea. Test the idea and then let them grow into it. So like it doesn't feel like they have to get this perfect on day one. Like you give them room to grow and they'll stay along for the ride.
That's so smart. So just making sure you understand what they want and giving them a clear path to get there, but testing it out before you go all in. Risha, what's your approach when somebody is ready to move from just a website to actually selling something?
Yeah, so once again, the discovery call is a very huge place for me. Like that's just where I get to know the client. Like what are you wanting to do? You know, a lot of times people come to me and say, I need a website. Okay, so let me ask questions to bring out what that actually means. Does it mean I need to market my business more? I need to make more money in my business? And so I like to ask very intentional questions so that way I can understand what I need to do next. I need to position myself as the strategic partner and the expert. And so how I do that is by asking good questions. But also, you know, we have a lot of tools in our tool belt, but for what the client needs, I don't necessarily need to use each and every tool for them. Like, you know, sometimes I just, you know, because I know how to do it doesn't mean that they need it. And so let me be intentional with what that client needs, then present that to them, and then, you know, hopefully the result is exactly what they're looking for, and, you know, I'm pleased because we've created a great product.
That's awesome. Yeah. How do you support clients who are hesitant to add those additional product or features?
So going back to being the expert, like I want to remove that hesitancy from my client. So, if I know their goals, if I know what they're wanting to achieve, let's break it down. So if we want to add something that's, let's say it's campaigns, and that's an additional cost for a client, but let me showcase how, if you use this and you use this well, and I teach you how to use it, this is something that's going to bring money into your business. And so we love return on investment. And so if I can showcase to them, let's take away the gray. Let's make it black and white, very easy for you to understand. So then that way, it's not something that's just like, oh, well, I hope this happens. It's like, no, I know it's going to happen. Here's some testimonials or things from the past that have happened for me. So I've seen this work. And so I know it can work for you too. So taking away the guesswork has been something that has helped take away that hesitancy.
Like both of you have talked about like that conversation and like being in like conversation early on, asking questions. And I think this is like so key. And it seems kind of basic, but I think that it's what separates like a web designer from a strategic partner. And I think it's how you build, how you can scale your business. Like you can, turn one project into 5 projects, right?
Yeah.
So I also, I'm always thinking about ROI also, especially with like nonprofit clients who I work a lot with. They're obviously worried about cost up front. And if you can outline that, like if you can talk through that, it's obviously something that like they're concerned about, but like it needs to go in the proposal. It needs to be in part of the conversation up front. And it just, again, underscores you as like the guide who's going to help demystify this process and help them make really strategic decisions. And makes you like an invaluable part of their team, really.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And I love how you're talking about leading with clarity and not pressure. That's such a powerful way to build trust. And when people see how something works and how much time they can save with that upfront investment, it can help them embrace the change and actually budget for it. So if you're watching online, drop in the chat if you have more ideas. Erin, when do you know it's the right time to suggest something beyond the original scope of a project?
That's a good question. I know we kind of talked about this already, but like, it really starts from the jump. It starts once you're with that client. So once you're past the sales and all that, and now we're working together, that's when it really starts. So for me, one great thing that I do like asking is about their sales cycle. And what that really tells me is a lot about their business. It tells me how they sell, how they interact with their audience and their target, their audience. So on sales cycles, if it's a short one, they need to book fast, they need to be able to do it quickly, then we prioritize things like call to actions. Short, punchy text where, they know exactly what's going on. It's just, it needs to be quick. And also versus like a long sales cycle. So if it's, weeks to months, then we start really thinking of the long form content, resources, lead capture things where we're really nurturing that client or that prospect. So once we're doing this, I treat every project like research. So I ask questions like, are you adding any services in the near future? Or a favorite of mine is, what does the extra revenue stream look like for you right now?
So good.
Because then they start thinking about it like, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. So take notes on all this, even from the first meeting, even on the sales call, because I'll tell you, your next project is almost hiding in the one you're already working on right now.
What?
Okay.
Write it down. So your next project is hiding.
Yeah, so your next project is almost always hiding in the one you're already working on.
Love that, Erin.
Yeah. So then I'll give you a example on that. So I have 2 clients that we finish websites for. One's a restaurant and one was a local band. And they both wanted to sell merch, but they both had the same problem of that upfront cost of adding all that inventory on there. So like for the band, it was like, well, I don't want to haul this merch too with all my music or like with all their equipment too. And for the restaurant, they just didn't have the space to store all this inventory on there. So what we ended up doing was we integrated Printful to their websites. So that streamlined their whole e-commerce side. So for the band, or for both of them, what we ended up doing was we made branded QR codes. So the band just put it on their table like, hey, skip the line and just scan and we'll have it shipped to your house. And then the restaurants, we added it to their tables. So like if they have a good experience, if they want to buy some merch, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. So it helps streamline all that for them. But thinking about it, it's two different industries, but as partners or as strategic partners, that's how we start thinking of like, well, they have the same problem. They're just in different industries, and we can do that.
Yeah.
Plus, you never leave the band T-shirt under your chair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yes.
I'm also thinking that like this would be a really great use case for like payment links for inventory that you did have in your shop, that like you could keep those things in sync.
Yeah.
Like that would be a way to
Yeah.
kind of be like, it's like the hybrid,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Another great example of how you continue to think outside the box for your clients. Are there Squarespace features that you think work well across industries to boost revenue or streamline sales?
I can take this one
Okay.
first. So I think the one that's been tried and true and now is directly within Squarespace is email campaigns.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that has worked in 2005 and works in 2025. Like that's something that you skip the algorithm and connect directly with your audience.
Was
and so
it 500 million
Oh
emails?
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So many emails are
May
being
have gotten
sent,
all
and so, but at least it's landing directly in the inbox, and your user can make the choice. But at least it's there, and they're seeing it, versus like the algorithms and do people see my post and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to give another +1 to email because it's like you're saying, it's a way to take control and like you're in charge of it now. Every year, I feel like I read an article about like how email is going to die and it's all going away, and then I've read that same article for 20 years.
Every year.
And it's just not. It's so +1.
Amen.
Yeah, for me, it's a new feature, which is the recurring invoice or like recurring payment. So with my clients, they do a lot of these monthly basis things. So adding that to their stack, right? Like our processes, it helps get paid on time. It's all scheduled, so you don't have to send an invoice and then try to haggle them to get to pay it. This just kind of streamlines that whole process.
Yeah, and it's just getting better and better.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much to our panelists. This was a great conversation. My takeaways were, 1, ask lots of questions and listen to your clients to understand what their goals are. 2, don't be afraid to think outside the box. And 3, and this might be the most important one, build a business that works for you. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to keep the conversation going, we're going to host an after party next week online. So head to any of our websites. There's information there on getting on our email list, RSVing for the after party. And we also have some digital products over here you can check out as well. And I think we're ready to kick off Q&A now. So if you have a question for any of the panelists, if you're online, drop it in the chat. Or if you're here, just raise your hand.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Taylor. I'm a community manager here at Squarespace, and I'll be moderating our Q&A today. We're going to start with our online questions, and then I'll turn it over to the room. So the first question that I have is, how do you protect your time so there's not time scope creep with a client?
Yeah. So, I think one of the biggest things is your systems, like being able to have that already before you get to the client. You already have these systems in place for that.
Like you're not going to just wing it.
Exactly, and the expectations, right? That first question when you're talking to them, it's having that like structured works so much well once you start working with the client, because they know how you roll, and that's it. Like you're setting that already, so your client experience is great. because you set those kind of limits at the
Yeah,
front.
and I just want to give a shout out to your project and client organizer too. So you can find it
Yeah,
on
and-
your site.
Yeah, you see it right there. But that's it's a template that has for projects, for clients. There's a code wiki, like it's all knowledge-based databases where you can just plug and play. But you can add tasks, your reminders, things like that. So that really helps. Systems is the answer.
And I'm also picking up on like a little bit of like boundaries being so important there.
Yes.
Because like when you can
Yes.
set those expectations, like you're also doing the inverse where you're setting up the boundary to be able to be like, no, and this is what goes beyond it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly,
So
yeah.
there's like the other side of that coin.
Yeah, boundaries are important in
They're my
multiple
friend.
Favorite word.
capacities.
Yeah.
To kind of piggyback off of that question, do you have like a typical time or average amount of time that you typically offer per client or that you spend with each client? I know everyone's a little different.
Yeah,
and
I was
every
gonna say I know
client-
everybody's different. My ideal is probably like a month, and so then that way we're able to kind of get all the things that we need. But also, it doesn't take it depends on the project. But I kind of have like the idea 4 to 5 pages is going to take this long, but also just including like my process is usually about 4 weeks. But there's some clients that I'm actually learning now. I like a week better for some of them as well too. Of like, I just need a 1-pager. Okay, great. Well, let's get this going, rocking for you, and not spending eternity. But that also just means like my systems. I now have some templates that I've created that are just like, let's plug and play and let's move forward versus taking a year on something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I offer productized services too, so it's really clear what you're getting and exactly the timeline, and they see it on my website, and then I tell them about it in the discovery call, and then I email them about it, and then I remind them later, so we're all on the same page.
I don't have any of this. I have clients though that have been in my Squarespace account for like years.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm building a long-term relationship. To me, it's about the time, not like, okay, well, we're going to work now for the next 3 weeks. Like, I want to be like, what can I do for you in the next 3 years? Like, I want you to just keep coming back to me.
Yeah.
And so
But
to
not
me,
with a retainer.
Not with a retainer. Yeah, I just want to keep them in that account.
But our phases
The
are
phases
going
are
to
so
be.
good.
Yeah.
And kind of just to answer on that too, when it comes to retainers, I do set time limits on that as well. So, it's not, yeah. So I keep it around 2 hours a month for each website management. But we know Squarespace, so like we can do a lot with 2 hours.
Yes.
Like we can update, we can do a lot of things like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on retainers. I know that is a very common discussion across Circle. We're going to switch gears a little bit. The holidays are coming up. What do you do or what do you recommend in order to set your clients up for success in selling during the holidays specifically?
Yeah, that's Kristine. Yeah.
I mean, okay. So I'm not the like traditional retail commerce of like we're gonna start holidays 4 and 5 months before they actually happen. Like, we're not putting out Halloween stuff on the 4th of July. But that's just me. I think that if you're doing some kind of mad scramble on like November 1st, then like you probably had a problem the first 9 months of the year. So I actually think like I have somewhere, like email me if you're the person who asked this question, like a holiday selling checklist or something, and it's good. But honestly, like you could pick that up any day of the year and work on it. Like these are all just fundamentals. So I don't think there's anything that you can do where you're like, oh, holidays are coming, let's get it ready. Like, why aren't you doing that every other day?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, selling is year-round,
Right.
not
Yeah.
just the holidays. But
Yeah.
okay, last question from online, and then I'll turn it over to the room. You, Kristine, and Christy mentioned that you guys work together often
Yeah, we
for
do.
client success. I would love to know if you could speak more on when you decide to collaborate with another Circle member and what that kind of looks like, especially in terms of success for the client.
Yeah, I think we kind of know what our strengths are in the projects. And when there's a project that comes up with a lot of e-commerce stuff that is not necessarily my strength, I'm like, Christine, want to do a project with me?
The answer is always yes. Yeah, I think it's like knowing your lane and just building connections. And I think that like coming to Circle Day even for like 4 years in a row now has been like really revolutionary for my business in that regard, because like these are all faces that you see online or on Slack or wherever, where it's like they're just a little avatar, but now you're like, oh, it's Liz, it's Dave, it's like people, you know, they're real people. And like now when something comes through where you're just kind of like, I'm kind of booked right now, I'm just, or like, this is just really not my thing. Like, but I have a friend. And now you both look good, you know? So I think it's just like talking and making connections to people.
It is.
And like just kind of knowing like what's your like vibe? What's your lane?
Do we like working together?
Do I like you?
Yes, I do. I like you very much, Christine. I also think that, you know, in these situations, Squarespace is changing so much. And we saw today all these new features that are rolling out. It's really exciting, but it's really hard for one person to know everything about every part of that system.
This is such a good
So surround yourself with people who know the parts you don't.
Yeah, or the parts that you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, that's not what I want to spend my day doing.
Yeah. So make a buddy today while you're here.
And I'll add one more thing. I would say that I guess Squarespace has been something that has been in my life for some years, but more frequently over the last like 4 years. And so I would say, you know, there's things that I wanted to learn, but I'll say like Christy has been somebody that's been great for me, that's been like, hey, I have a system and I just need help on some of these things. Can you just come in and help me on some of those things? And that's been a great help for me because I'm getting paid to work on the platform. But I get to practice as well too. Like it's gotten me to where I'm like, okay, now I know how to use this in a better way, but I get to also collaborate with a friend. And so
they've worked together too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I'll add another note too. +2 on what just been said. So the example I gave with the semi-trailers, like I didn't do all that myself. Like I met Dave. I met him the first Circle Day, and we just, you know, we get along. And then so play your strengths. So for me, I love designing. I love the creativity side of it. He does more of the SEO, the more of the I guess digital marketing stuff of it. Like I'd rather have someone that I can trust and know they're doing it, so I can stay focused on what I want to do.
Amazing. I love how you touched on the in-person thing. Something that the Circle team talks about all the time is we love seeing everyone in person. It makes it real. I'll go ahead and open it up to the room for questions.
Hi, all. Great job.
Hey, Monica.
I'm Monica. I have a question for Erin about retainer work, and you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's a two-part question.
Okay.
First of all, how do you scope and price a retainer project at first? You mentioned like 2 hours is kind of where you'd like to keep it. And then what happens when the client wants to add to that scope later? Like if they want more than 2 hours a month.
I also have this question.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. It really is a great question. So when it comes to retainers, I actually have 2 tiers, which kind of plays into that. So like, you know, your standard website management, which you know, you get your 2 hours, and then you could add hosting to that if you want to add it into that the subscription. Totally your call on that, but the other tier is more of this enterprise, like the this example on the trailers. Like they're more on the enterprise because that's not 2 hours. That's like a lot of hours. But the pricing on that, it really depends on, you know, what your cost is of what an hour is for you. So like if you're planning it to be like $80-$90 an hour, then you can price it. So for me, on a standard one, they pay $280 for a month, compared to like an enterprise that's like $750 plus on their stuff. So that gets, because retainers can get really murky if you let it. So just setting that, like for retainer stuff, you just packages. Like this is what you get, and then this is the other tier that you get. That's the expectations of that. And so like that, and then having systems in place, because you don't want to just like go into and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to start offering website management if there's no systems in place, because once you start having 4, 5, 6, 7 plus like clients, like you're going to need some sort of system to hold all of that. And for me, a quick note on that too is I use Squarespace's form that acts like a ticket. So if a client comes in and says like, hey, I need you to change this, change that, it's just a simple link that they go that has a form. And so when they submit that, then it goes into like a ticket system that, or like a template, as you could say, that you can have it automate to that CRM to know what they want to do.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Oh, I have a question too. I'm so curious about the retainers. Go ahead.
No, maybe we have the same question.
Maybe.
Okay. Like when in that like a process do you mention retainers? Like, is this like because like, do you be like, we've got to work together, and then like if the vibe is right, you're like, hey, I'd love to continue working together. Like, do you offer that to everybody? Okay.
I do not. So that's the great thing too is you can work with who you want to work with. You don't have to take every single one of them. And so and that's kind of how like I talked about earlier is like I only want to do about 30-40% of like the workload doing that. The other I want to be creating or doing websites, doing things like that. So having a limit on that gives you, that supply-demand kind of a deal where we're like, oh, well, we're full on management for now, or maybe we're not.
We're both kind of full.
That was exactly my question.
You guys have great minds. You think alike. This will be our last question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Hey, friends.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
My question is, how do you keep your designs fresh, or where do you go for inspiration for your designs, building sites?
The design store. Oh. From you guys. I mean, I think like we are always talking about cool things that we see. I know Justin maybe has a Slack group that is open for anybody to join, and he has a whole design inspiration channel. So whenever one of us stumbles across something, and do you want to take that?
Oh no, just he's waving his cube.
Yeah,
Cube.
I know. Cube.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's actually going to be a contest if you'd like to enter. So check out Cube.
I'll say too, yes, the Slack community has been very good to be able to see like, okay, these are the things, because we actually have a channel that's called Design Inspiration, and so people will drop sites that they've seen, and we can go and take a look at them. And then also showcase, like people drop off sites that they've created, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, and I even know Aaron recently dropped in there in one of our Slacks, like his site, and he wanted to get feedback on it. Like, you just redesigned your site, you dropped it in, and it was like, okay, I want some feedback, and we were able to do that as well. But also, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
and do check out Cube in the back. Do you want to hold it up again?
Oh, he's not holding it up now.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of site inspiration there as well.
Yes.
And lastly, on-site inspiration, like don't think that you just have to look at other websites. Like there, you can look at art. There's the great thing with like what we do with websites is like we add all this creativity, but it's still real structured. So like for me, I love looking at magazines, things like that, where you see like images and the text, like everything has a place, and it's all. I just love I love structure. So things like that. Look at newspapers, magazines, things like that to get more inspiration than just websites too.
And then my last thing is those tools that they release. Like, we're going to be able to do so much more. So I'm already inspired by just what they showed. So,
yeah, exactly. That was a great last question.
Yes.
Thank you to our panelists. This was so much fun. Please join us for the after party. You can go to any one of those sites and click the link to RSVP, and we'll see you online next week.
Yeah, good job, guys.